Part 6, Commands.
The next topic on our verb quest is sort of a spin-off of the subjunctive. Commands, requests, telling people what to do. Most languages, like English and Spanish, have 4 basic kinds of sentences: statements, questions, exclamations, and commands. So far in Spanish, you know how to make the first 3.
Practically all of the sentences you've been using so far have been statements.
No he comido nada en todo el día. La comida va a ser muy deliciosa.
Questions are easy enough. Just use a handy question word, throw on a couple question marks, and there you go.
¿Dónde está el camarero?
And exclamations, the third kind of sentences, are easy. Just use exclamation points.
Tengo mucha hambre.
¿Puedo ayudarle, señor? Let's get started. We're going to divide commands into 2 categories, formal and informal. First up are the formal commands.
Section A, Formal Commands.
Before we get into the essentials of building commands, we have some good news. Commands are sort of an outgrowth of the subjunctive. Maybe because if I tell you to do something, I'm not sure if you're going to do it. So there's some uncertainty involved. That means a lot of the stuff in this section is going to look pretty darn familiar.
You use formal commands with anyone who you would refer to as usted or ustedes, like doctors, old people, and people you don't really know well. Also, remember that Spanish speakers in Latin America use ustedes for informal situations too, so keep that in mind. With all that being said, here's how you make formal commands.
We'll start with the AR verb, so let's pick one out. How about bailar? Okay, we take the yo form of the verb, which is bailo. We chop off the o, then add an e if we're commanding one person, an usted, and an en if we're commanding more than one person, or ustedes. And there you go. Now our verb is ready to use. Our usted command, baile, and our ustedes command, bailen.
So we can use the usted command baile to command or request someone to dance.
Baile. Yo dije, baile. Y ustedes también bailen.
When we're using an usted or ustedes command, we can express it 2 ways. We can say the person we're addressing the command to after our verb,
Baile usted. Bailen ustedes.
or we can just say the verb and let the usted or ustedes be implied.
Baile. Bailen.
This is how you'll see it most of the time, since you already have the different ending to let your listeners know it's a command.
The ER and IR verbs work almost the same way. Let's look at vender, to sell, and dividir, to divide. First, we change them to their yo forms, which gives us vendo and divido. Then we knock off the O's, and finally we add an A to the end if we're giving the command to one person, and an AN if we're commanding more than one person. That makes the command forms of the verbs venda and vendan, and divida and dividan.
Señoritas, divídanse en 4 grupos y vendan todas las galletas. Este año vamos a dominar el jamboree. This process of getting a verb ready to use as a command works exactly the same way with most of the verbs we've met so far that are irregular.
Look at the verbs pensar, tener, and possibly a new one, morir, an O to UE verb that means to die. Change them to their yo forms, pienso, tengo, and muero, knock off the O's, and put on the appropriate endings.
Piense, piensen, tenga, tengan, muera, mueran.
Remember that the AR verbs like pensar take E and EN endings, and the ER and IR verbs like tener and morir take A and AN as their endings.
Now for the irregular formal command forms, which you knew we would have to get to eventually.
The only irregulars that cause real problems are the command forms for the verbs ir, ser, and dar. The formal command forms for ir are vaya and vayan. For ser, they're sea and sean. And for dar, they're de and den. No rhyme or reason, just more fun stuff to memorize.
The only other weird issues we come across when changing verbs to their usted and ustedes command forms have to do with spelling and maintaining the proper sounds of the verb. We've seen this before. Remember earlier when we talked about how the sounds for the letters C and G can change depending on the vowel that comes after them? Well, the same issues arise when we try to add an E or EN to the stems of AR verbs.
Check out the verbs buscar and pagar. We can put them in their yo form, no problem. Busco and pago. But if we try to add an E or EN, the sounds of the C and G will change.
Buse? Paje? No, no, no.
So in these cases, we make spelling changes to keep the sounds of the letters the same. We change the C into QU and the G into GU.
Busque. Pague. Sí, eso es.
Let's check back in with Danito and see how he's coming along with those groceries.
Señor, estoy buscando el cereal. ¿Dónde está?
So he's looking for the cereal, and he's asking the clerk for help.
Vaya al tercer pasillo y busque la estantería grande. Los cereales están allí.
Let's see if Danito can figure this one out. First, the clerk said, vaya al tercer pasillo busque. Looks like Danito remembers that vaya is the formal singular command form of the verb ir, to go. So vaya al tercer pasillo means go to the third aisle. The clerk was telling him to go.
And what about that second sentence? Busque la estantería grande. Hey, Danito, what's that Q doing in a form of the verb buscar? He knows you have to change the C in buscar to a QU to preserve that hard sound. She told Danito to look for the big display. The cereal's there. Congratulations, Danito. Cereal for dinner tonight.